Now, the other big story we're tracking 70 years after they went extinct in the country, cheetahs are set to walk again on Indian land. India is all set to welcome 8 cheetahs tomorrow when the big cats will be brought in from Namibia as part of a special agreement. A modified passenger B747 jumbo jet painted with the face of a tiger is in the Namibian capital to ferry the big cats here. Prime Minister Modi is set to release the spotted felines, 5 females, 3 males, into an enclosure in the Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh tomorrow, which is also his birthday. So the Prime Minister will be marking his birthday with that. Let's go across to Anurag now, who joins us for more. And Anurag, you're tracking all those developments. We're also joined by Anish Andheria, President, Wildlife Conservation Trust, and of course Swati Tyagarajan, who's been living in South Africa. You're going to tell us about cheetahs there in Africa. But Anurag, first, we were hoping you'd get like a front, a ringside view of the cheetahs being released, but that's not to be. Tell us, what are you hearing? Also, they're now arriving in Gwalior first, not Jaipur as we earlier thought, and then they will be flown by a helicopter to Kuno tomorrow.
They will be in India, and now we are hearing that a special cargo flight with cheetahs will land at around 6.
All right, we're having a bit of a technical issue there, but let's now go across to Swati and Anish, and great to have all three of us together on air again. Anish, first to you. Finally, it's happening. The cheetahs are coming back tomorrow, are going to come to India tomorrow rather, and the Prime Minister will release them. There's a lot of excitement over this, but there have been a lot of concerns also expressed. If you take us through the challenges.
See, cheetahs, of course, have got extinct for more than 7 decades now. The place that has been earmarked for them is not a typical grassland habitat. It is a mosaic of woodland and grassland. Obviously, the prey that the cheetah is going to encounter is going to be very different from what it's having in Africa. This is cheetal, sambar, nilgai, of course. Cheetahs are not known to breed prolifically in stressful situations. So that has been one of the ecological drawbacks. And unlike tigers, lions that breed prolifically even in zoos, cheetahs are not like that. There is some amount of stress. Of course, the other issue is disease. So there are diseases which are local to Indian species. It can go into a cheetah, and cheetah may not be immune to those. Our local cats like the tiger, the leopard could be immune to it. Similarly, they could bring in some disease with them from Africa, and then those diseases can get introduced. Obviously, all that can be taken care of through quarantine procedures and tests and everything. Finally, once they are released, one will have to have patience, which means it will take at least 15 years to say something about the project. And in fact, there was some study done by Wildlife Institute of India. This Kuno National Park is about 1,235 square kilometers, and there is another 3,200 square kilometers of potential cheetah habitat contiguous outside Kuno. Now, for cheetah to do well, I think there is the carrying capacity of this 1,235 square kilometer Kuno is about 21, which means it will take about 15 to 18 years for this population, which is called the founder population, to reach 21. And if that happens, then one can say that they are out of danger. Another one is about 36 cheetahs can be accommodated in this entire 3,200 square kilometers, and that can take somewhere up to 20 to 25 years. So while this project is happening, one has to keep in mind that we'll have to be patient. We can't write this off just because some deaths happen.
And given the kind of excitement, it's going to be a long time before the public actually generally get to see the cheetahs there in the grasslands. And it's a project with 50 cheetahs are going to be brought over the next 5 years to various parks. But Anurag is back with us. Anurag, yes. So tell us, what are the preparations? And the cheetahs are going to be first brought to Gwalior. All right, seem to be having this technical problem with Anurag. But Swati, Anish was talking about the challenges ahead for the cheetah population and also the need for these grasslands. And the Kuno Park, which we know because, you've covered it, the fact that it was cleared initially for the lions and now they're using it for this cheetah project. Tell us about cheetahs in Africa. What is the situation regarding the species there itself, since we're getting our cheetahs all from Africa?
Yeah, Gargi, so as we know, the cheetahs are one of the big cats that are racing extinction, as the film showed us. But apart from that, so in Africa, the majority of the cheetah population is in southern Africa. So the 8 cheetahs that are coming from Namibia, then you're going to apparently get 12 cheetahs in from South Africa. The problem in Africa is most of our cheetahs live outside of protected areas, because within national parks and protected areas, they're up against lions, they're up against leopards. There's a 90% mortality with cubs being killed. Outside of the protected areas, they've taken over open, free land, because they need this kind of big space in which to run. These are not ambush stalk predators. These are chasing hunters. So they need like vast amounts of open land in which to chase down their prey. Being the fastest animal in the world, this is how they do it. But most of this open land in Africa, a lot of it is farmland, and a lot of the original prey of the cheetahs now taken over by cattle. So there's a lot of human cheetah conflict, and many of them get trapped and killed. So this is a major problem as well. In Africa, at one time, cheetahs ranged across Africa. They ranged across what we now know as different countries, but at the time when cheetahs, were present was Persia, all over. They even ranged across India, up, all the way through to the east of the country. And now that's enormously diminished, as has habitats for all big cats. The problem with the cheetah is that they have, because they become fragmented populations in Africa, only found in 19 countries, most of the populations are not bigger than 100 in number, so their genetic diversity is diminishing. Biologically, there's a problem. They're very vulnerable to diseases because they become smaller, populations of animals. So this has become an issue in Africa. So I am a bit concerned about how it will happen in India, but as Anish said, these are long-term games. When it comes to reintroduction, rewilding, bringing a species back, conservation is a long-term game, and we really won't be able to comment on whether it will be successful or not, as Anish said, for at least another 15 to 20 years. But my concerns are, what is the space available? Are there other big cats that move through here, like leopards and tigers? Because Kuno is sort of in that corridor between Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, when tigers move through between Ranthambore and the other parks in Madhya Pradesh. Will cheetahs only be in Kuno? Will they be able to spread? In what kind of areas will they be able to spread? Will they then come into conflict with people? As all the challenges are in Africa, which are quite similar here in India. So these are the questions.
Right. In fact, back when they wanted to shift lions to Kuno, one of the challenges by the Gujarat government was that there were tigers there. So how could they get the lions there? But let's go across to Anurag. Yes, Anurag, third time lucky. Give us the latest.
Yes, Gargi, I was saying that they became extinct in 1952, and now because of the habitat loss and because they were hunted, and now they are back on my birthday also, 17th September. And we have been told that a special cargo flight with cheetahs will land at around at around 6 a.m. on 17th September now in Gwalior. And after customs clearance and other formalities, cheetah will be flown to Kuno in a special chopper, and it will be a 25-minute flight. Government was working on both Jaipur and Gwalior, but now since the Gwalior route will save the time, so they will be land in Gwalior and from there to Kuno. Gargi?
All right, and Anurag, then tomorrow the Prime Minister will be releasing them into a very protected enclosure, isn't it? And they're going to be monitored very, very closely now for the next, few months and years, I expect.
Yes, Gargi, there will be special watchtowers and CCTV surveillance around 5 kilometers off the area, and Prime Minister will release them at around 12 o'clock in the afternoon in a special enclosure in Kuno National Park, and a limited number of guests are allowed inside. And after that, he will address SAGs at Karahal near Kuno, which is around 20-25 kilometers from the main gate. Gargi?
All right. So, Anish, as you know, we've been discussing many challenges ahead, lots of excitement as well. As Anurag was saying, it's going to be a project that's going to take a lot of time. A lot of money is being spent on this. And I know one of the criticisms has been that why can't we use that same money for the species we already have rather than, the cheetahs. But at the same time, cheetahs, represent the grasslands, and hopefully this will improve protection for that.
Yes. So I was reading up about grasslands. We've lost about 200,000 square kilometers of grasslands in India in the last 75 years. And cheetah is symbolic, as Swati said, that they are found in open grasslands, and that habitat has really taken a beating in India. It's considered as wasteland on government papers. So if cheetah can be utilized to bring back some of those grasslands, then cheetah reintroduction can actually be a shot in the arm for the recovery of the great Indian bustard, the lesser florican, the hyenas, and so many other grassland species that are really now in highly stressful situations. So I think for me, cheetah right now in Kuno, I'm not too worried about. What we have to see is in the coming 15-20 years, are we able to establish cheetahs in habitats that they are designed to live in, which means in proper grassland habitats in multiple states. If we are able to do that, then over 30-40 years, I think we'll be able to have a sizable population. When I say sizable, I am not expecting thousands of cheetahs. That's not going to happen. It will be maybe 100 or so, but it divided into 4 or 5 different populations. So I think a few things that we have to do is to continuously augment cheetah population, because say cheetahs are going to come in contact with leopards. There will be mortality. There will be cub infanticide. A lot of things happen in carnivores, and so we have to be prepared to not feel disheartened that the animals, the founder population is getting destroyed by other species.
Right.
We'll have to be patient. We'll have to augment prey, which means certain prey species will have to be introduced. The grassland has to be managed. Then habitat outside the protected area has to be restored, because the cheetah cannot live in this just 1,235 square kilometers. Swati will tell you that they live in extensive areas. They have territories which are larger than that of the tigers. Then the tourism has to be utilized to feed the economy, the local economy, because the best supporters of conservation in India are local communities. So if money from cheetah tourism can go to them, fantastic. Another important thing in India is domestic dog management. There is huge amount of disease that get transferred on carnivores.
In fact, that was one of the
done.
reasons they wanted to shift the lions from Gir, isn't it? Swati, so final word to you. What are the challenges you see ahead?
So, Gargi, I have seen 2 sort of cheetah reintroduction programs in Africa in private game reserves, and it's been a long process there. Some of the cheetahs, the biggest problem is the stress levels. If they are stressed, this is not a cat that does well. They're not like tigers. They're not robust species that if they get protection, they are going to do well and the populations are going to increase. Cheetahs are rather delicate from that perspective. So our biggest challenge will be, how do you minimize the stress on these animals? And as Anish said, every year this population will need to be topped up. Then the big question would be, if they don't get their own foothold in India, if they don't sort of breed and increase their numbers in India, if the only numbers of cheetahs we ever have in this country is because we keep flying 10 of them every day, every year from Africa, then what is the point is what I'd ask, because it would be like a private zoo in a sense for a wonderful animal to come back. If you really look at our grasslands, this was the animal that was the flagship species for our grasslands. And as Anish said, with grasslands being considered wastelands and sort of just being taken over for either development or for agriculture in a big way in this country, to bring back this flagship species in a sense that could represent grasslands, bring back this conversation around grasslands where we'll stop sort of, treating them as wastelands and putting them aside, that would be a huge positive.
That would be the
ultimately, it's a 15 to 20 year minimum game that we're looking at before we can say, oh, this is not going to work or it is working. So it's a long game. Yeah.
Right, it's a long game. Well, thank you so much, Anurag, Anish and Swati, for joining us on the program to talk about this. And Anurag, of course, will keep coming to you for more updates. The cheetahs will be arriving tomorrow morning.